Rising defiantly out of the northern Ashlands of Vvardenfell, under the menacing shadow of Red Mountain to the south, is the ancient Dunmer stronghold of Kogoruhn. This historic site once served as the epicenter of one of Morrowind's most powerful houses, yet despite the millennia that have passed since its construction, it has not fallen into disrepair, nor, as many adventurers have discovered, disuse. Kogoruhn, meaning unbreakable home in Dunmaris, certainly lives up to its name, as its great house has been shunned and hunted for centuries, yet still plagues the land into the modern day. This house, much like Kogoruhn itself, is considered to be lost, decimated, left with naught but ruin. This disgraced house is of course House Dagoth, 6th House of Resdane, and the domain of the Dunmer, formerly known as Vorin Dagoth, High Counselor to Lord Indaril Nerevar, known now by the neonymic Dagoth. Further exploration of all things Dagoth could fill an entire video on its own, and maybe we'll dive into that at some point, but for today, we'll be investigating Kogoruhn itself, examining the location and the various oddities and treasures located within. However, before we can do that, we have to first locate the stronghold. For that, we'll be starting our journey from Margon, located just to the northwest of the Ghost Fence. We've actually covered this route before in our Daedric Blunts video, so I'll give you a bit of background on Kogoruhn as we travel. Outside of morbid curiosity, there are only 2 quests that will see you sent out to this location. As such, there are no signs marking the trail. According to the Tribunal Temple, Kogoruhn is lost, and while the temple has a tendency to be very forgetful when it comes to sensitive topics, I believe they genuinely don't know, as they've sent an Ordinator to try to locate this ancient stronghold, and then sent the player out to look for said Ordinator when he failed to return. The Ashlanders, however, have not forgotten, sending the player to the site to prove themselves in order to gain the trust of Clan Ursulaku as part of the main quest. Upon arriving at Kogoruhn, we'll find the first point of interest just barely within the confines of the site itself. They apparently don't make Ordinators like they used to, as despite having a holy relic, Feral Salmon failed to best the few foes patrolling the perimeter. Feral was sent with the hair shirt of Saint Erelor, offering some level of protection, and I imagine a good bit of itchiness. Be sure to take it with you, as well as the free set of Ordinator armor for good measure. We'll encounter a few casual enemies here in the courtyard, but nothing out of the ordinary. Once they're dealt with, we can investigate the smaller buildings located around the area. First is the Dome of Pollux Eve. Inside, we'll find the first of many named Ash Ghouls, Dagoth. All possess a 6th House amulet capable of draining your personality by 20 points, but they're worth 2,000 gold and make for good war trophies nonetheless. Also in this room is one of the 3 tokens the Ursulaku send you to retrieve, the House Dagoth Cup, so be sure to grab that while you're here. Heading back outside and to the north leads to the Dome of Urso and the first Ascendant Sleeper, Dagoth Reller.
Serve as flesh or dust.
These beings are the penultimate followers of Dagoth and will take the time to talk down to you before engaging in combat. Much like their lesser kin, they also carry 6th House amulets to add to your collection. And here we can see that when not demeaning the protagonist, they also enjoy doodling 6th House graffiti all over the place. The central building is the Temple of Fae, with Dagoth presiding.
Serve Lord Dagoth.
He'll question our destiny and our courage, and get a sword to the head for his trouble. On the altar behind him, we'll find one of the iconic 6th House bell sets, which may just be a Hell's Bells reference, but let me know what you think in the comments. That's the last of the outbuildings, so we'll make our way to the western end of the compound, and the stronghold entrance proper. The ground level is known as the Hall of Fisto, and I don't want to be the one to find out why, so I'll be using stealth in this area. Also because the lesser ash creatures have some interesting dialogue if you can catch them before they turn hostile. First being Dagoth Delnus on the main level. He'll deride our efforts, declaring that we're past the point of words and that we'll face the fury of Dagoth. Unfortunately for Delnus, he'll find himself suddenly struck by a bad case of head wound and not live to see that dream realized. Towards the staircase is the wandering Ash Slave. Unlike the various sleepers and ghouls, Ash Slaves are not mortals, but magical constructs, small manifestations of Dagoth's power. The bizarre dialogue paints an interesting picture of the madness inflicted by such an existence. Observant explorers will note that they've been stacking various furnishings all around the site. The significance of this practice eludes me, but maybe they're getting ready to have the floors waxed or something. The door leads to the top floor, known as the Hall of the Watchful Touch, which, again, sounds questionable and unpleasant, much like the general vibe of Kogoruhn itself. Here we'll find Dagoth Baller, give him a good crushing, and retrieve his anti-Riz necklace. Behind him is a small staircase with a door at the top. This door leads to the roof of the complex. The only thing of note here is a Dunmer standing in the far corner, probably taking a smoke break, but it's nice to see he'll still engage a customer when approached. With the upper floors cleared, we can head back to the ground floor and take the southern staircase to the Hall of Mackie. This level breaks the ringed pattern from the previous floors, with multiple areas to explore. The antechamber on the right features a 6th house shrine and an ash zombie, who saw me before I could camouflage. But as you can see, he's been a busy little worker, stacking up the chairs like Dagoth likes them for some reason. Through this door lies the Strongholds jail. It features 3 cells, basically just locked rooms, improvised on the spot. Each room is locked at level 20, and within will be a treasure chest pretending to be an NPC. In the first room, there's a Khajiit with an ash statue and an ebony sword. Maybe they fell under the spell of the Dagoth dreams from the statue and were lured to their death here in the wastes. Non-Dunmer are not welcome in the 6th house after all. The next room has an odd sight, a dead Altmer, and judging by his gear, he was most likely an acrobat. I have no idea what he was doing here. It's unusual to find his people in such places, unless they're necromancers or vampires. Finally, we have another curious case, an Imperial with a lovely glass cuirass and shield, and an interesting silver claymore named Fury. Now, it's strongly advised that you not use this weapon. While the sword fortifies your attack by 20 points, it will also blind you for 20 points, and drains all armor skills by 20 points as well. To make matters worse, depending on your version of the game, these stat drains may be incurably permanent due to a bug in the item scripting, so maybe just set it on a display shelf. Returning to the hallway, we'll find a large chamber with the Flame Atronach patrolling the area. On the left side of this large chamber is a door leading to the Vault of Erode. Making our way past the guard danger to the northern door, we'll find a well-stacked room with another Ascendant Sleeper, Dagoth Ulin. You know the drill by now.
6th house is risen.
Ulin carries a key to the next section, so be sure to grab that. On the other end of the chamber, we'll find a Bone Lord guarding a few interesting finds. A nearby table has some gold and a potion, as well as a Telvanni Adept Dusk Helm and an exquisite robe. It seems the Bone Lord and one of the developers had too much free time, as in the corner of the room is a work of art that I have to imagine took ages to put together. A 6th house sigil drawn entirely in septums, 284 of them to be exact. With this chamber cleared, we must backtrack to the Hall of Mackie, crossing over to the opposite side of the large room to a smaller area, also featuring a single Daedra to fight. In the north of this area, we'll find another door. This one leads into a large space with more 6th house banners. The single ash zombie here seems to have lost connection to his lord. We can help him by sending him to his creator directly. The ramp ahead leads to a locked door. Making use of the key we retrieved in the Vault of Erode, we find ourselves underground in the Nabith Waterway. This area consists of a winding reservoir that for some reason is actually brighter and livelier than the canal works of Vivec, but with slightly beefier enemies, like this Frost Atronach or this Ash Slave. Most of the branches here are unnecessary diversions, but the central southern passage will lead us to the penultimate chamber of Kogoruhn. Beyond the short swim is a small square room. A Corpus victim patrols the walkway, leading to the next ash ghoul, Dagoth. At the southern end of this room is a cave door, leading into the first cave section, Charma's Breath. Inside, we're greeted by a Flame Atronach. Beyond here, the path splits. The right path leads into the final section of Kogoruhn. The left path, however, goes to an area described by the Morrowind Prophecy strategy guide as a, quote, bad place. Ahead is a lava pool and an eager ash ghoul named Dagoth Daynil with another 6th house amulet. Through the winding passage ahead is yet another lava pool, this time with a Bone Lord standing guard nearby. His bones will make a nice heap. Our last ash ghoul waits in the next room. Dagoth Furvis is no harder than the other ghouls, but be careful not to rush too far ahead, as a Bone Walker isn't far behind him. Once both are dealt with, we can find the master of this stronghold, Dagoth Uthol, an Ash Vampire, the ascendant form of the Ash Slaves, pure manifestations of Dagoth Ur's power. He asks the question, have you come to submit or to die? If we answer with submission, he will inform you that the door behind him is a secret passage into the Ghost Fence, which explains how the tribe Unmourned is able to spread beyond the Tribunal's barrier. If you tell him that you're here for death, he'll be ready to throw down with you. The Ash Vampires are the strongest of Dagoth Ur's minions, so come prepared. When he lies dead, we can retrieve a very nice artifact from his corpse, the Belt of Heartfire, fortifying health and fatigue, resisting poison, and granting Fire Shield, all for 30 seconds per cast. Plus, with its value of 20,000 septims, it's absolutely worth grabbing, along with the obligatory amulet. With Uthol out of the way, we can return to the final door in the north of Charma's Breath. This passage leads to the Bleeding Heart, where the greatest treasures are kept. 2 Atronachs guard this chamber, but anyone making it this far will have no trouble with the pair. From here, either path will lead to the final area of the cave. 1 last Ash Slave and an Ash Zombie block our path for good measure. Beyond here is the deepest section of the cave, and 1 final ghoul, Dagoth Elam, guarding the treasure. On the first altar, we can find an Orcish Warhammer and Shadow Shield, granting invisibility and restoring fatigue for a solid mid-combat rest. Enjoy it while it lasts, as it has to be turned over to the Urshulaku as part of the main quest later on. On the central altar is the true prize of Kogoruhn, the only Daedric gauntlets in the game besides those worn by Dagoth Fear. And with that, Kogoruhn is officially cleared. Just be sure to hold on to the quest artifacts if you aren't ready to turn them in just yet. Ultimately, I feel that Kogoruhn is a fun site to explore, and provides wide-ranging exposure to the 6th house. Being a main quest dungeon gave the site more attention than most of the other ancient strongholds received, and having a pair of Daedric gauntlets at the end makes going the whole way very rewarding. And that's where we're gonna wrap it up today. I hope you've enjoyed this look at one of my favorite locations in Morrowind. If you did, smash that like button and subscribe so you never miss a new release. We have new videos coming out every week. Until next time, I've been GitShiver. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.